Hi, I'm Paul Niven, co-author of Objectives and Key Results, Driving Focus, Alignment, and Engagement with OKRs, and several other books on strategy and strategy execution. Joined today by my friend and colleague, Zach Ross. Hi, Zach.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, as Paul mentioned, my name is Zachary Ross. I'm currently a technical program manager at Google, and before that, I was a program manager at Amazon, and then I worked previously at AT&T and several startups.
In this series of videos, Zach and I are sharing with you some ideas about OKRs, what they are, how you can use them effectively. And today, what we want to talk about, Zach, is something I know I get asked a lot, and that is, what is the difference between OKRs and other performance management techniques like Balanced Scorecard, 40X, KPIs? So I'll talk briefly about that, and then I'm going to ask you about one big specific difference that I think you can shed a lot of light on for us. Let's look at Balanced Scorecard. It's an area that I've got a lot of experience with, having written several books on it, and process that I think is really terrific. Balanced Scorecard typically, though, is a bit longer term than OKRs. When you develop objectives on a Balanced Scorecard, they're typically meant to last a longer period of time. People will often write objectives to last a year or so. Measures on a Balanced Scorecard, similar, a longer cadence. 40X, which stands for 4 Disciplines of Execution. Very similar to OKRs in that they have what they call wildly important goals or WIGs. And the idea with those is, again, focus on what matters most to the organization. But they tend to be a little longer term in nature. Perhaps increase our revenue from 20 to 40 million between now and December 31st. So I think the big difference between those systems and OKRs, Zach, is one of cadence.
That's right.
With OKRs, typically most organizations will follow a 90-day cadence in which they change their score, grade, and update their OKRs every 90 days. Is that your experience at Google?
Absolutely. So 90 days, we really have found that quarterly cadence to be kind of the sweet spot for us, because it's long enough that it gives us time to execute on the objectives that we set, and then we're able to assess how those went. And it's not so short that we feel like we're pivoting constantly and changing direction so much that we don't have enough time to really try out an idea and see if it works or not. And so for us, and I think for many companies, not just Google, the 90-day quarterly cadence works really well because, like I said before, gives you enough time to flesh out an idea without pivoting too much.
Okay. That leads me to a different question, sort of a tangent here, Zach, that I want to ask you. We didn't think about this before we got on the air too, but when you're talking about pivoting and changing direction and everything, that makes me think that sometimes you're not going to achieve all your OKRs, are you? In fact, what do you think is a good sort of percentage of success that you should shoot for?
Well, we, at Google, we really feel about 60 to 70% is, once again, I'm using the term sweet spot, of where we try to, 67% of your objectives you're going to meet. The 30, maybe even 40% you're not.
Wow. And so that's a fairly significant number. Let's just say you hit 70%. That means 30% you're not achieving. What are the ramifications for that? I know I'm always telling my clients with these systems that you're implementing them to learn more about your business. It's about asking better questions, and sometimes you need to fail to do that. And it's easy for me sitting in the consultant's chair to say that, but real world, how does it work, for example, at Google?
Well, we celebrate it. In fact, we don't expect you to achieve 100% of your OKRs, specifically because we're afraid that if you're always hitting your objectives, you're not pushing yourself hard enough and having inspirational, aspirational goals. And yet, on the flip side, if you're only achieving 15, 20, 30% of your goals, then we also ask tough questions like, well, why is it so low? Is it that you're just shooting so far that it's almost impossible to achieve your goals? Or maybe there's something on the execution side that or things outside of your control that we need to investigate as well. But that 67%, we're okay to fail. It's okay to fail, and we just have to learn from it.
Right. And so do you find is there a learning curve for people that are starting to use OKRs maybe for the first time, that they automatically want to maybe shoot too high or too low, or what?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I've found as folks have either come to the company or are new to the methodology, they tend to be conservative. And I think that's a natural inclination that you want to hit all those goals, and we have to actually push teams. You can do more, or try this and see if you can do it. And I think, as you've shown in other conversations we've had, and even in your books, that those teams that actually are aspirational, inspirational, and push themselves actually lead to a lot more success and are much more productive than teams that are more conservative because they're only pushing to get to hit the mark that they've set rather than going beyond that.
Right. It's kind of a corny old saying, but isn't it somebody said, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll still land among the stars?
That's right. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, bonus content for all of you watching today on that. Originally, the idea of this video, though, was to talk about the difference between balanced scorecard, 40X, KPIs, and OKRs, and I think we've landed on the big difference being cadence, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah. So thank you all very much for listening, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to learn more about OKRs, please visit our website at www.OKRsTraining.com. Thanks very much, Zach.
Thank you.
All right.